get right into it. I have so many questions, beginning with this, as far as you know, how many of these ballot boxes were there in Orange County, and in what sort of places were they? And what were these actual boxes? They look to me like file cabinets from Office Depot.
So I don't want to be difficult. It's presently under investigation by my office. I was informed of this issue a week ago Sunday, and we immediately dispatched our investigators into the field to look at the boxes and to interview witnesses. So that's under investigation. Today, the Attorney General and the Secretary of State both held a joint press conference where they've announced that they're now the lead investigative agencies. So for people who may not know, the Attorney General is my supervisor as a district attorney, and the Registrar of Voters in Orange County, Neil Kelly, his supervisor is Secretary of State Alex Padilla. So while I was, say, for example, the lead in Orange County, we've been basically told to stand back and that the Attorney General and the Secretary of State are the lead. My role is to serve as a district attorney of Orange County to provide support services for my registrar of voter. But when we received the cease and desist letter and we were copied, I was copied, the Fresno County DA, where there's allegations of boxes, and the LA County DA, we were all basically told the Secretary of State and the Attorney General are now the lead. Yeah. I can tell you that we had boxes in Orange County in at least 2 cities in South Orange County, and we put that out as well. But what statements we took, what statements we received, I'm not at liberty to discuss those at this time.
I understand. And I think it's also really important that we should know that the time that we're speaking right now, this is about midday on Friday, because things could change rapidly. So let's just get that out of the way. My understanding is that one of the biggest problems in all of this was the fact that at least one, if not several of these boxes, as we saw in the image there, said official ballot box, and you're just not allowed to do that. And even the GOP said, look, someone got a little overzealous here. We took those signs down. If those signs are down, and if there's an actual human being, because that seemed to me, as far as I have been able to understand this, and we've had Javier Becerra, the state attorney general, on this program, a big part of the legal argument, as I understand it, is it's not fair to just have a box not being unattended. That if you legally want to collect ballots, you need to have a human being there. If the Republicans there in Orange County have a box with a person, would that be considered legal?
You know, I think that you've really narrowed the issue, and I think the public has a right to understand it. It's basically been narrowed to those 2 issues. Is it staffed? Is it manned? And is the person who is giving up their ballot, do they understand who is getting custody of their ballot? It was interesting because at the press conference, the Secretary of State indicated that those boxes are unlawful, that the only boxes that are designated to receive ballots are the official Registrar of Voters boxes. They also said today at the press conference that it's been represented those boxes will no longer be used and they're being pulled from the field. Well, during the press conference, a state senator tweeted out, hey, we're using the boxes, okay, so tough luck. And that question was posed by a reporter to both Mr. Becerra and Mr. Padilla. And they said, look, if you have evidence that those are still in the field, please call us on our hotline, but they should not be deployed in the field. So I'm confused, quite frankly.
Me too.
Not only as a lawyer, the district attorney of Orange County, but as a citizen, because I would think that irrespective of the receptacle, I shouldn't have tried to say that, it's an alliteration, right? I could have a shoebox, but if I'm standing there and the person knows they're giving my ballot, what does it matter what it looks like? I mean, whether I hand it to a person, put it in the slot, as long as that person has custody, you would think that they're complying with the ballot harvesting rules. So I'm a little confused, and I think all that will get sorted out, but at least I believe that the California GOP still has every intent, based upon a letter from their attorney, to use the boxes But what they promised is two things. They will be staffed at all times, and they will not be in public places. They'll only be on private premises. So you would think that if they changed the behavior, that's not how it started. So I give credit to the Secretary of State and to the Attorney General for making sure those compliance issues are adhered to. But you would think if they adhered to those precepts, we would be okay. I just don't know. I don't know.
I gotta say, Todd Spitzer, I'm really glad that you don't know, because a lot of this really confuses me too. I was on that same press conference and I was so confused that I actually tweeted at the California GOP and said, hey, are you guys planning on taking away these boxes? And let's just read here their response, and I'm quoting. The Secretary of State and Attorney General didn't know the facts and didn't bother to learn them before accusing us on Monday. We can't agree not to do something we weren't doing to begin with. They could have shortened this press conference by simply saying sorry. Now, I feel like this is where things get a little political, perhaps, and a little partisan. And just to make this even more interesting, one of the things that the California GOP and local chapters have pointed to is that Harley Ruda, who is running for re-election there in the OC, has created what he is calling ballot hubs. And they're saying, well, why are you coming down on us? This guy's doing it too. Todd Spitzer, care to comment on that?
Let's talk about what our job is as elected officials. I mean, let's not forget what and keep our eye on the ball. My job as a district attorney, and I held a press conference with Mr. Padilla about 2 weeks ago in Orange County. So Republican, Democrat, side by side. And this is what I said. I served with him when I was in the California legislature. He was in the state Senate when I was in the Assembly. And I consider him a friend, and I consider him a good person and a respected leader. We have a lot of really good people, and their job is to try to get out the vote. My admonition to everybody, Alex, was, look, I understand you're in your partisan corners. I understand you want a fair fight, and everybody's going to try to take advantage of any of the rules and potentially push the edge of the envelope. My job as district attorney, and I would hope it's the same irrespective of what office you hold, is to encourage people to vote and make sure that every eligible voter has the right to vote, that the process while we're going through it is transparent. After the fact, when we're counting and challenging votes, that is transparent, and that everybody is playing by the rules of engagement. And whatever the results are, the results. And then it's kind of like when you get in a fight when you're in elementary school and you dust each other off and you shake hands. I mean, we are partisans. I'm a nonpartisan office holder. My job is to protect the sanctity of the vote, nothing more. As DA, I'm not here to take sides. I'm here to ensure the sanctity of the vote.
Speaking of the sanctity of the vote, do you have any sense, Mr. Spitzer, of how many ballots might have been turned into these boxes there in Orange County, and what will happen to those ballots that have already been turned in?
So let me answer the second part first. Those votes will be counted. I mean, think about this, right? Alex, you gave your ballot to me or a box. You're unsuspecting. I mean, you want your vote to be counted. The registrar has already committed that will be counted. Now, there might be some arguments, it was all, they should have never have gotten into those repositories. But actually, the irony, Alex, is there's a state law that says even if you failed to designate a person, you didn't sign it properly, that is not a reason not to count your vote, because we want ballots to be counted. With respect to the boxes and their disposition, the Registrar of Voters in Orange County is in possession of one box. That box has not yet been searched. We're kind of waiting for direction. We are waiting for direction from the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, who's in charge now of this investigation. And obviously those ballots need to be extracted at some point. We need to make sure that all ballots that were deposited into all those boxes are turned in. And as you know, anybody who receives a ballot from a voter is required to turn that in within 72 hours, or they're in violation of state law.
Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer